I'm Mary Byers, and this is Associations Today. My guest is Robbie Kellman Baxter, president of Peninsula Strategies and author of The Membership Economy. Robbie, I'm really looking forward to talking with you today. There's been a debate about whether millennials and professionals in general just have less time and interest for association memberships, and I'd be curious what you think about this.
Yeah, it's a tough question because it looks like from the behavior of the millennials that they have different attitudes about membership. But I think it's not that they don't care about membership or they don't want to join. And you can see that by the number of things that they are joining, the way they're participating on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, the way they're showing up for meetups, the way that they're finding new friends through dating sites and communities that are being created on the fly. The thing that is different, though, is that they have access to information and they're able to compare the benefits. And so whereas in past time, people could only choose from a small number of options for membership, and then they were loyal by default because doing research was so hard, now people just have a lot more choice about where to affiliate and where to look for the benefits that they seek.
And when you think about membership associations in context of everything that you just shared, what are some of the unique opportunities for associations in this environment?
Well, the opportunity that the associations have, they really have an advantage over the newer models that I'm seeing out here in Silicon Valley, and that is that they have the longtime relationships with their members, with their professional communities, and secondly, that they have the brand name. And then the third thing is they have some understanding about the unique needs, challenges, and opportunities facing those people. So they really have a huge leg up on any new entrant into the market. And so they have an opportunity to stay close to that member and to continue to create new ways of providing benefits. They have the head start in the race. I think that the issue that they run into too often is that they lose sight of the fact that their promise to their members is around the benefits that they provide as opposed to the particular products they've already built.
Interesting. So you also mentioned Silicon Valley, and who are some of the companies in Silicon Valley that are actually impacting associations, and what can we learn from them?
Well, you know, one of the biggest that I've spent a lot of time talking to and thinking about is LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, as you know, is a professional community. It's an online professional community. And, you know, now when I'm doing speeches around here in Silicon Valley, I would say that 90 to 100% of the people in my audiences of professionals raise their hand when I say who's a member of LinkedIn. And I would imagine it might be a little bit lower in other places, but it's still very high. And, you know, the data shows that about 40% of the people that are members of LinkedIn check in some way with LinkedIn every single day. So it's huge. And it's really becoming a de facto place for people to find other people like them, to identify new people that they want to know, and to keep track of their community, all of which are traditionally benefits that are provided by professional associations.
So I think one of the challenges for association is that you can have a very basic membership on LinkedIn for free, number one. Yep. And number two, are younger professionals actually going elsewhere? The majority of associations I work with have a presence on Facebook and LinkedIn, but that might be where their older, more seasoned members are spending time, but is the younger generation spending time there? And if not, are we missing the boat?
Yeah, so that's a great question. You know, and you bring up a couple of things. One of them is that any organization that starts out being edgy and cool, almost by definition, has to become uncool at some point. And so there are always these peaks and these waves when a new kind of organization, a new kind of business model, a new kind of community appears. There's a bump when it's new, and then it kind of levels out. And if the new organization is lucky, they find a happy medium and they find people who are going to stay with them for the long term. But in many cases, you know, it's a peak followed by a valley, and then the company goes out of business. So, you know, in those cases, I think the best advice I can give to to professional associations is think about what is the value that you can provide. Think about what has changed in terms of what kind of technology and what kind of services are available, and what the cost of delivering those benefits are. So that's, for me, that's one of the biggest issues. So, for example, when you think about LinkedIn, they've made the cost of basically having directory services go to zero. So it is no longer a differentiator to have a directory. So, for these organizations to stay ahead of the curve, I think it's distracting to try to stay at the cutting edge and be cool, but it is completely critical and worthwhile to be aware of the truly disruptive technologies.
And so they're really creating sense of community in order to survive. And essentially, that's really the currency of associations, is the community, a community of engineers, a community of dentists, a community of nurses, whatever the case may be. So maybe part of this is looking at all of the technology and the disruption of technology, but then looking at it through the lens of the association's mission and why it was created to begin with. And you said something that's important, and I'd like for you to expand on that if you would, and that is the differentiators. What makes us different than somebody else, another organization, something that's online? So if I'm an association professional and I need to be thinking about that, what advice would you give me?
Yeah, well, you really nailed it, Mary. It's the mission. You compare it to a LinkedIn, for example, their mission is for everybody. It's very general. It's completely based on technology. Whereas the professional associations primarily have a mission that is more about helping that professional community be as successful as possible in their careers, to be safe, to be up to date, to have the latest education, to be connected with the trends and the people, as you said. And so, the best thing they can do is recognize where they're different and what they can do that nobody else can do.
And I think sometimes that's hard to discover, though. In a marketplace that's very crowded with a lot of competitors, corporations have realized that there's value in creating communities, even outside of the context of associations. So there's a lot of competition for associations today. And I think sometimes it can be tricky to find out where they're different and then capitalize on that. There's, a little bit of fear that if we pick a lane and stick to it, what if we pick the wrong lane?
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a great conversation. I was in Washington a couple of weeks ago, and I had a great conversation with Kevin Donnellan at the AARP, and he had a great comment for me. We were talking about the release of they have a new tablet device that is specifically designed for seniors. And as you probably know, their mission is around improving the quality of life of people over 50 in the United States. And they had realized that there was no good technology that was really optimized for older people, bigger buttons, better customer service, simpler interface, and so on. So since nobody else was doing it, and they saw that as a huge opportunity to improve the lives of people over 50, they entered into a partnership. They created this tablet device, and they launched it with much fanfare. And they were doing it right when I was visiting. And I said, well, what happens if next week Amazon announces Kindle for seniors? What are you going to do? And he said, I'm going to be so happy, because it'll mean that we're moving toward our mission, which is improving the lives of our seniors. And he says, and then I'll go on and do something else, because that's our mission. Our mission is to improve the lives of seniors. Our mission is not to have, a hugely successful tablet device business. And I think that, success for professional associations in today's crowded market is really about focusing on the mission and not on the product lines.
So in essence, part of your message is a call for associations to get back to the basics. Why
Absolutely.
were you founded? What was your purpose? What's driving you? And to not be distracted by the next bright, shiny object, and to head back. Good. I love that. As we wrap up here, share a little bit about pricing and what associations should be thinking about as they bring out new programs and services and in order to benefit their members and to meet their mission.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as we've talked about before, I'm just finishing up writing a book about membership, and a big part of the book talks about pricing, both about pricing in general and especially about the use of free in your pricing model, which I think is a key element for many kinds of membership organizations, and one that I think that a lot of the professional associations really haven't embraced fully yet. The declining costs of technology make it possible for associations to cast their net more widely and bring in more of the people who qualify as their target audience. So that's kind of the first thing that I think associations should be thinking about, which is having a broad reach, which gives credibility, saying, hey, we really are the organization that represents this community. And also it provides brand awareness, and it builds relationships with people so that, over time, hopefully they become increasingly committed and involved and join the fold. And it also provides, the other thing of free is that it starts to create a networked effect. That is, if everybody's part of your association, that means they're responding to surveys. That means perhaps they're participating in online groups or online forums, things that are really cheap to deliver, but which create a lot of value. That creates value with very low cost for the association. So that's the first thing, is really think hard about free. Second thing is be clear about what is included in, I think the associations call it the membership, but really that is the subscription, what do you get just for being a member versus what you price separately. And you really want to get that right, because what is included in the membership, you want that to be enough that they get tremendous value from it, and that they never, ever, ever have a reason to cancel. So, in the book, I talk about a forever transaction, and that's really what you want to be striving for, is they sign up to be a member and it never becomes a nice to have. It's always a must have, because ultimately membership, subscription-based membership with tiers is just a much more elegant model. It's much more, you're much more likely to retain people. You're much more likely to get people to actually use the services that you're providing. And the more people are using the services that you're providing, the more likely they are to stay for the duration.
Robbie, thanks for your time. I can't wait to read The Membership Economy. Looking forward to it. This is Associations Today. I'd like to thank my producer, ComPartners. And if you're looking for an online learning partner, I suggest you contact them at compartners.com.